Alright, and here is the video review for Studio Series 01 Deluxe Bumblebee. Yeah, I don't know either. I picked him up. I think part of the reason I picked him up is because I do like his classic Camaro mode here. And this is actually a really nice representation of it. He does have, if you store his weapon back here, a little bit of junk here in the trunk. But if you take that off, and you can see it's actually kind of interesting. Like, here's his robot mode shins. And they hang down a little bit, but there's just enough clearance for him to roll. Like, he's having a little trouble here, but that's not even this. There's a bump. You can't see it in the white here, but there's a little warp in the plastic sheet I'm using, so he's kind of bumping up there. But he does actually have just enough clearance to roll when with all those folded up. I think, like I said, you can take the weapon off and store it off to the side. And you got a pretty nice representation, although much smaller than I expected. Even knowing, like, I knew he was smaller than an average Deluxe. I saw him in the package, and I could see that, even though the box makes him look a little bigger, you can see the whole figure in the window. But even then, his car mode is much more compact than I was expecting. If you watched my Voyager Optimus Prime review, and I mentioned something falling on the floor, I found it. It was, in fact, just a small little bead of solder from when I was working on assembling that Game Boy Zero that I reviewed last week. I had to solder that on, and it was just over here, and I was glad that's all it was, because I heard just a little thing fall, and I thought, oh no, it was right when I was reaching for Masterpiece Prime, and I thought maybe his mirror or something had been super loose, and maybe had cracked, and I hadn't noticed it, and I knocked it off reaching for him, but no, it was still a piece of solder. Anyway, on to Deluxe Studio Series Bumblebee. Now, he does have a little stress mark here, and I can easily hit that with a hairdryer and get it out. It doesn't look like it's anything serious, but, yeah, I don't like stress marks. Nobody does. But here he is in his car mode. You can see his little face under there. There's not really a whole lot to it. It doesn't really do anything here other than be a car and roll. And to transform him, again, like I said with Prime, interesting in the way ways they find to make these work as Transformers. Yeah, you can pop his whole front end assembly up, open up his doors here. Let's kind of get them loose. And when you open up the door, it is the door and this little wing fin piece comes out, kind of like on the Masterpiece. Just how you see his feet up here. Like I said, it's a really interesting transformation. Go ahead and bring his arm, lift them up a little bit. Come out of the space here. That's not where that's supposed to come off, but, you know, whatever. We are going to pop that arm off eventually to replace it with the gun. Bring the wheels out. And again, bring the arms out and around. Out and around. There's this little abdomen piece. And it doesn't, you can see it doesn't fold all the way up like a lot of ones. Again, don't force it. There's plenty of clearance. It just kind of angles back from the front, so it kind of hangs down a little bit, but with the arms and everything there, it actually looks less out of place, if that makes sense. Go ahead and pull. Now we can get this whole assembly up and open. Should just pop right up. There we go. Pop that up. Get that out of the way. That allows the whole chest to lift the foot forward, and for this whole thing to come around. There's a tab here that will tab in to the inner torso piece. And there is that, and then these little pieces rotate here on the chest to give them those angled headlights. The arms come down, the fists roll around, just like that. And then this piece folds up and up into the back. And up into his body. Again, nothing we haven't really seen on a Bumblebee before, and then these untab. They actually do tab on. There's a peg here, so be wary of that. It's clear, it's hard to see. And then bring those all the way down and around. So he's got his little wings back here. The feet, you want to rotate this whole assembly. The front part of the wheel cover here. If I can get my finger out of it, there we go. Get that out of the way. Rotate that all the way around. You want to get that out of the way so that all of this stuff can move. Because the feet are on this weird panel that comes up and around, and you got to get this out of the way. There's a lot of stuff going on here in the leg. fold this down and then fold this piece up along with the foot and around. So it looks like that. The foot continues all the way down and around. Lift it up, actually kind of back, and then this black pole slides through like that. And then deform the foot here, so the wheel ends up on the inside. Like I said, the shin piece folds out, and then the windscreen, the rear of the car ends up inside his leg, and then the rear windshield folds in like that. And then to form the outside of his leg, and then this piece right here is on a hinge this way as well as this rotational joint. You can rotate that back up against his leg. And there you are. Now he doesn't have any ankle tilt because of it, but oh well. Same on this side. Get this out of the way, untab the foot from up here. The foot tabs in to the back of the thigh, and then there's some tabs up here in the roof that actually tab into the top little groove here on the foot. When you're trying, just so if you're trying to lock it together, and then again, bring all this stuff around, bring that up, fold that in, that down, and then plug the foot in, and then rotate it up. And bring the hip piece up. And this is just a matter of getting everything all folded up. But I wish this locked in a little better. It just kind of sits there and relies on its own kind of shape to hold it in place. It would be nice if it locked in a little better. And the front torso peg is not super solid. Some window polish, or some, not window polish, floor polish on that might help. And here he is in robot mode. He's got a little ball jointed head. Again, hinged ball joints at the back of the neck here. He's very tiny. He's got ball joint shoulders, a little bit of a hinge there for transformation, bicep swivel, elbow hinge. The wrist just folds up. No, he does have a waist swivel, front and back, side to side, because they're ball joint hips, so all sorts of direction hips. He does have a thigh swivel, knee only to about 90 degrees because of this piece back here, and then front to back on the foot with no ankle tilt. All in all, not a bad looking little classic Bumblebee. I really like his car mode. The robot mode is pretty much your standard fare Bumblebee. Like his head still doesn't look great, even for the movie design. But all in all, nice colors, very bright, and not a badly shaped Bumblebee. His weapon, as I mentioned, now this popped off earlier here at the friction hinge at the elbow. You're supposed to just be able to pull this off, and then there's a peg hole in the arm is inside the weapon arm. And if you can get it to line up properly, there you go. You can attach his arm cannon so it kind of transforms. And then just like, again, on the Masterpiece figure, if you want to store it on his back, he's got a little tab here that it says, oh, there's a peg hole right here behind his butt. And you can just kind of come in here, and I guess it won't go facing upwards. You have to have it facing downward. And it will peg in there, although it does seem to limit how his leg clearance. I do wish, I think the only thing that I wish could happen here, and I see why it doesn't because of how they did the little wing flaps. Refocus this here. Is I do wish you could do something, you could fold these windows down. So it was just the door itself and without the windscreen. Now they're clear and they're not super noticeable, but they are there. And again, because of the way this hinge works here, it would have been really difficult to have also a rotating hinge here and still allow for the peg. I get why they didn't do it on a figure of this size, but it would have been nice if you could get rid of those windows. Quick size comparison with the other dudes we've seen so far. Here he is with Optimus Prime. Whoop. Optimus looking a little dark there. Let's see if we can brighten that up a bit. And then with Starscream, who's going to be washed out. I just had to brighten the light so much for... I guess he's not too bad, especially if I put my kind of hand there in the way. But there, just to give you an idea of what he looks like with Prime and Starscream. here he is with his movie masterpiece version, which I still think is my favorite of the movie Bumblebees. It's hard not to like him. I understand. If you don't, that's fine. I think he's a really good representation of movie Bumblebee. And of course, he also includes the little cardboard diorama. In this case, he has the scene where he beat up Barricade in the first movie. The little abandoned factory plant place. So yeah, like I said, not something I would bust through the doors to try and get. He's fairly readily available most online places, and he's not bad. Like I said, I really do like his car mode, even if it is a little bit small. But I feel like for the best bang for your buck for a movie Bumblebee, really just go for the movie masterpiece. But there is Studio Series Deluxe Class Bumblebee.